Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
When it turned March, it suddenly hit me. I went through the whole month of February, and I forgot to have Eric Griffith on our show. Eric Griffith, writer of PC Mag, Hornell High School graduate, used to work here at WLEA in his high school years. Eric, thank you for coming on. Did I miss anything in your resume?
No, you got the whole resume, but you did miss me all through February, and I was incredibly hurt, but I somehow made it through.
All right. Eric writes for PCMag.com. So let's do some February articles from PCMag.com that Eric wrote. It says, "Is phishing and similar cyber crimes increase? Are victims better at threat assessment?" Now, for our older listeners, explain phishing with a PH.
Okay, so, it falls under the category of cybercrime, and cybercrime is a huge category. I mean, it's basically anything that is related to use of the internet or computers falls under cybercrime. But that can be something as extreme as extortion, which is one of the worst things going out there. There's ransomware, where people use software viruses to basically ransom your data. And phishing is one of those big ones. And phishing is a scam where basically people social engineer you. They send you an email that looks legitimate. It looks like something that might come from your insurance company or whatever. They get you to click on things and fill out forms and get information from you that they can then use. And it is a big-time scam. In fact, there was a huge increase in phishing and its various offshoots, which are called everything from smishing to farming, depending on how it happens, because it happens over text messages or it happens over other forms of communication. It's gone up 59% from the year 2015 to the year 2018. So it's a pretty big increase. But what's nice is in this data that we found, it was provided by security.org, and they used the stats from the FBI Internet Crime Report to kind of quantify all this, is that of the 933 people that they surveyed randomly, a lot of them were asked if they even knew what phishing was. And, the definition, the basic definition is unsolicited email or text or whatever that look legit and aren't. And most of them actually got it right, which is great. It seems like more people know more about phishing. The problem is that the deeper they went into asking people about phishing, like actually quizzing them on how they would identify a phishing scam, most people still can't effectively do that. And God knows there are plenty of scams out there, people, so I really encourage you to go to a website like security.org and take a look at what they provide as far as helping you figure out ways to protect yourself from said scams, because there are way too many scams out there for anybody to stay on top of.
Eric Griffith, it seems, looking at the chart here by generation, you have three charts here: baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. The older people get, the less familiar they are with the idea of a scam, and is it more likely that you get scammed the older you are, fall for one of these phishing scams, which is just easy to do? You just click reply and click on an answer to the question, and you're trapped.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not even so much that it's like you're more likely for it to happen, because you're a baby boomer. It's that baby boomers and older folks are targeted because, the people who are perpetrating these scams are counting on those folks to not be as up to date on all of the technological stuff that their kids are, or that their kids are, the grandchildren, or obviously the millennials. You can see in the chart here, they are the least likely to fall for it because they're growing up with it. It's kind of like just even using a mouse. A certain generation is better at it than other generations. So it goes part and parcel with just the overall knowledge of the computing world and how it works.
Talking to Eric Griffith from PC Mag. Eric, can you define what you mean by extortion? I think people think in terms of uh, extortion, blackmail, somebody having some knowledge about somebody and saying, okay, you're having an affair, you owe me, $10,000, or I'm going to tell your wife or whatever. What's extortion when you're talking about emails?
Well, it's not just emails. I mean, this is all cybercrime victims. So what you're describing there as extortion is exactly what it is. It's extortion in any kind of way. Like, let's say, for example, that somebody was able to hack into the camera that you use to secure your home, that you're using to, like, look out your front door. We like to think that these things are all highly secure, but PC Mag just literally reported this past week on a very popular form of baby monitor that uses the internet to send images to servers, and people can then look at the video feed of their child sleeping in their bed, and they can make little recordings of the kids, or they can take little pictures of the kids doing things in their rooms using this baby monitor, which is great. But the company hadn't secured the back end of what they were doing, which was actually, using Amazon servers. It was a very simple fix, but the company didn't do it until we did our report, even though we tried to get their attention about it before we made the report. Once they saw what we said, they did fix it. But, so let's say, for example, somebody was able to hack that, and it was a very simple hack. It's explained in the articles on our site about this iBaby monitor. If somebody did that and they found something compromising, they can use that to extort you. And obviously that has also seen a huge increase online since since 2015 when they did the last cybercrime report. And a lot of it, when I say extortion, it's also because we're all part of these breaches. You hear about data breaches all the time from these big companies, and a lot of those breaches include your password to get on the site. Now, if you're one of those people who uses the same password on every website, and you suddenly get an email that says, hey, I've got your password and I know how to do this, it's probably baloney to a large extent. But if you've used the same password everywhere, that means a person who has that and has access to that stolen data, and that stolen data could be spread far and wide, if they get one password for you on, say, one account like your old MySpace, and you use that password today on Amazon, they can get into your stuff just using your email address as the username and that password, and they can go crazy using your credit card.
How does he know all this stuff? Not quite sure, but he's very knowledgeable on many topics when it comes to gadgets and iPhones and computers. He's Eric Griffith from PCMag.com. Next article here, and we're doing the February articles because we forgot to call Eric during February. Google reverse image search on a mobile. Tell us about that.
Well, a reverse image search is a very specific way of looking up a picture by using a picture. So let's say, for example, that you want to find a photo that's very similar to another photo. You've got a picture of your kid, and you're thinking, wow, that looks just like a picture I saw of a monkey the other day, but I don't know how to find it. Well, go to the reverse image search on Google, for example, which is at images.google.com. You can upload your own picture, and then Google will literally go out there and look for pictures that look similar to yours. In some cases, it can find the exact same picture if that picture has been used in multiple places all over the internet, and we find that all the time at PC Mag, where there's a picture that is almost gone into the public domain because it's used so often and sometimes illegally. So this particular article is about how you do that from your phone, because doing it online on the computer is very simple. You upload your image, it finds it. Doing it from your phone, a little more difficult because Google didn't build it into the Google website to work on mobile. You actually have to kind of work your way around it. And the best way to do that is to use the Chrome browser that Google itself made. and get that for iOS or Android, and then you get all the full tools. It's almost like using a desktop site, but you can then use your own pictures or pictures that you've downloaded from the internet if they're on your phone rather than on your computer. Makes it a lot easier.
Eric Griffith from PC Mag. He writes articles on all kinds of computer and phone topics, new gadgets. Now, this one should be of interest to our listeners who are in the market for a new laptop or tablet. Business Choice Awards 2020, laptops and tablets. And the article says, what portable device maker is the best one you can get for truly hard work? The answers may surprise you.
Well, and this is an article that is in partnership with also the other survey that I help run, which is our Reader's Choice Awards. And another gentleman named Ben Gottesman, a good friend of mine who helps me crunch all the numbers and go through all of these surveys that we do week after week at PC Mag. He writes up the Reader's Choice stuff. I write up the Business Choice stuff. But they're part of the same survey where we literally ask people, hey, what do you think of your laptop? Overall, how would you rate it? Would you recommend it to other people? And we crunch all those numbers down in a spreadsheet, and it gives us a way to look at the different brands of laptops and tablets and really figure out what is the best one to recommend based on what the readers of PC Mag think of them. And I can tell you, having done these surveys for almost my entire career at PC Mag, and this is my 13th year at PCMag.com, that Apple wins this year after year after year. It is almost no contest because Apple laptops are so loved, and the people who have Apple laptops love them so much. So they always score incredibly high, do incredibly well. That said, this year, for business and for home use, Microsoft is also a winner. We gave the award to both Apple and Microsoft because Microsoft really makes fantastic hardware. I mean, the Xbox is one thing, but when it started branching out and doing, say, keyboards and mice, those were pretty excellent even 20 years ago. When it finally got into the laptop business in the last 5 to 6 years, it has done a remarkable job. And it makes sense because they make it the operating system that all of these products use, so they're making hardware that really, really takes advantage of what the Windows can do. And these Microsoft Surface laptops and the Surface Books and the Surface, just the Surface Pros, which are more like a tablet with a keyboard, they're all fantastic devices, and people love them for both home and work use.
Talking to Eric Griffith from PC Mag. Going to take a quick break. We'll be back and continue the rundown of Eric's articles from February here on Newsmaker. Stay with us.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. At the Ryan Agency, they work hard to find the right coverage at the best rate. Their agents shop more than 24 insurance companies to discover your best price. Save smart. Contact the Ryan Agencies today for your best price.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carolyn. Rob, March 21st is not far away, but when does spring really get here, do you think? It's a little chilly out there this morning.
It is, and we're going to have some more cool air for tomorrow and into Saturday, Brian. Then it warms up quite a bit early next week. The vernal equinox takes place this year on March 19th. That's when we'll be dealing with equal day and equal night. But since we don't have a tremendous amount of snow cover across many of the states to our west or to our south, it could pretty easily start to warm up. I know the computer guidance is suggesting that we're going to have a very warm second half of the month of March. I haven't seen it in the medium range guidance, but that's not to say it's not going to happen. It is something we're looking forward to. A mixture of clouds and sun developing today, Brian. We've been dealing with some cloudiness this morning coming off of Lake Ontario. That should break up as the temperatures come up to 45 to 50. Sunrise this morning was at 6:35. It'll set tonight at 6:05. Tonight, clouds may see a little bit of light snow as low pressure heads our way from the central Great Lakes. Lakes. That'll develop after midnight. Lows will be 30 to 35. Light snow may mix a little bit of light rain. Breezy tomorrow, 40 to 45. Any accumulations are mainly on the grassy surfaces and under an inch. The leftover snow shower tomorrow evening, otherwise partly to mostly cloudy, colder 20 to 25. Saturday, turning partly sunny, breezy, cool 35. We've got sunshine in the forecast, breezy weather for Sunday, Brian, and we're up into the 50s during Sunday afternoon.
Back on the Newsmaker show with Hornell native and PC Mag writer Eric Griffith. Here's an interesting article. As Netflix originals increase, overall content is reduced.
So in our, I do a weekly look at different infographics and data that comes up online, and this was an interesting one from the friends we have over at realgood.com. They're a company that we work with at PC Mag a lot to kind of showcase data about streaming services. And people are always complaining about how Netflix is constantly losing movies. There's just not as much as there used to be. And they really quantified it down here. Real Good went and looked to see how many TV shows and movies there were on Netflix in the year 2010 versus the year 2020, and it's a pretty staggering difference. There's about 1,500 fewer TV shows and movies on the service than there were 10 years ago. Now, that said, when you look at this chart, there were in 2010 about 530 TV shows. Now, that number has blown up. It's about 2,108 TV shows. So if you count the fact that we're talking about individual titles here, and each of those TV shows could have as many as 10 to 150 hours of content, it almost doesn't compare. Plus the fact that while the overall content has gone down, the amount of original content that Netflix creates has exploded. Since they launched with the original shows back, I think it was around 2015 when they first had House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. You know, they just had a few original things, and they were really good. Now, Netflix is debuting an incredible, crazy amount of original content on a weekly basis. So much so that they spend somewhere well north of $8 billion. That's billion with a B. $8 billion a year just making new stuff to flood their service with, to keep people binge watching on Netflix and hoping that you're not going over and watching much on Hulu or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime Video.
What's a big show these days on Netflix that you're into, Eric?
Well, let's see. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Lock and Key, which is a fantasy horror TV show based on a graphic novel series that was written by Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King. I read all those graphic novels years ago. I'm really looking forward to that. I just finished watching, I think it was, Altered Carbon. I watched the first season of that, preparing for the second season, which debuted this past week. And that's a show about people in the future who can jump from body to body, and they can basically live forever because they can download themselves from one body to the other. You know, it's everybody's dream. Those are pretty good. I love their very high end sci-fi fantasy shows. Another one that might appeal to a lot of people, even old school people, is Lost in Space. They did a fantastic reboot of the old '60s high camp TV show, and they made it into it's almost like a disaster movie every episode, with a whole new disaster befalling these poor people in space who are just trying to survive because they're lost out there.
Eric Griffith is our guest here on the Newsmaker show. Always get lots of compliments when he's on. People amazed at his knowledge of gadgets and computer issues. Eric, these days, just to get a little bit off the topic, but I wanted to ask you, as far as social media goes, what's the most popular thing out there these days? Now, maybe it depends on the demographic, the age group, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what's the biggest one out there these days?
Well, I mean, Facebook is is the 800-pound gorilla. It certainly has the most users and probably the most active user base still, but it's certainly not the hot, cool thing by any stretch. Facebook is, as far as the internet goes, kind of entering its baby boomer phase, where it's the old thing, and all the young people are going to the other stuff. Instagram is very, very hot. It's like Facebook, but it's mainly for sharing pictures only. Probably everybody who's listening to this has a kid or a grandkid or a great-grandkid who has an Instagram. They almost all do. And it's a lot of fun to go and look at all those pictures and make comments. Not that you can't do that on Facebook, but the gram, as they call it, tends to be a little more hyper-focused on that. But that said, Instagram might be cool, but TikTok is probably the one that gets the most juice these days, and not always for good reasons. TikTok used to be a service called Musical.ly, and it was essentially a way for kids to go online and do some fun kind of karaoke lip syncing to music or dialogue that was provided by the app. And they can still do that on TikTok. And TikTok, like I said, it's the same thing. They just renamed it. But TikTok took it over because it was bought by a Chinese company. And that company has had a lot of issues as far as like being accused of censorship. People who were during the Hong Kong protests were trying to use TikTok to get the word out, and the company behind it censored a lot of that stuff so that the higher-ups in the People's Republic of China wouldn't get mad at them. And there's a lot of talk even in the U.S. Congress about how TikTok is probably being used as a way to do everything from propagandize to the U.S. public to spy on us. Now, I don't know if I buy all that. I do watch TikTok and look at it, and I think it's a pretty fun platform for a lot of people to get on there and dance, tell jokes, show fun woodworking videos, show clips of themselves at comedy clubs. Those are the things that I tend to gravitate to and enjoy quite a bit. And I'm going to say I don't feel like I've been propagandized by them very much.
Eric, you brought up the topic of China. That got me thinking about the coronavirus. How much has the coronavirus affected the online world, the digital world, the cell phone world?
Oh, it's definitely taking a toll. The issues have been twofold. Travel in the world has obviously not come to a standstill quite yet, but it's getting there. My own company has basically asked everybody in the company to not do any non-essential travel, personally or professionally, but especially professionally. Like we pulled out of the South by Southwest show in Austin, Texas, because of not wanting to put anybody at risk or do any spread of potential coronavirus stuff. A lot of trade shows have been canceled. A big one called the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain, which it's arguably the biggest trade show in the world, and it's all about mobile devices. That was shut down last month, and it probably did a huge, huge number on the economy of Spain itself, like not just Barcelona, but maybe the whole country, and certainly for the hotel industry, the hospitality industry, the airline industry dealing with that show. They all took a hit. And so many other shows are getting canceled. So many other things are happening. It's also impacting people getting devices or anything manufactured in China, which is also a problem. The Foxconn company that makes iPhones, for example, they ramped way down during February and only recently announced that they're going to ramp back up so they can get the next generation of iPhones to the U.S. But, who knows? It's what could happen. I mean, right now, the coronavirus in the United States is not as big a deal as a flu, even still. Let's face it, thousands of people are dead from the flu. 11 people are dead from the coronavirus in the United States. That said, who knows where this could all be going. I'm hoping that as the weather gets better, maybe the coronavirus, like the flu tends to do, will go back where it belongs and leave us all alone. But only time will tell.
Hey, this will have to be my final question because we got off on these other topics. Very interesting. Customer support, tech support, a lot of times that's done by employees overseas for a whole lot of companies. wondering, has the coronavirus affected overseas customer and tech support for any companies that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. I would assume that is one of the better things happening for the industry is that because they're reliant on overseas tech support, but they don't necessarily have to travel there to deal with people. That I think that's probably it's probably a good thing for the industry overall. But I haven't heard anything about that being an impact as yet. The countries that do a lot of the tech support for us, I don't believe are being hit by the coronavirus very badly, like India. Italy, is one of the big hot spots, and that's not a place that's provides a good service for us.
Okay, we've been talking to Eric Griffith of PCMag.com. A lot of people know him because he's a Hornell native. Eric, we as we said at the beginning of the show, we missed you in February. Should we have you back twice this month or wait till April? What should we do?
Well, I don't know. If you have my brother back on, Chief of Police in Alfreda, New York, Paul Griffith, then I demand to be back on so that I can get equal time.
Eric, is always great having you on.
All right. Thanks, Brian. You take care.